Polish President Andrzej Duda says he wants the United States to create a permanent military base in Poland. During a meeting of the two presidents in the Oval Office on Tuesday, Trump's Polish counterpart suggested the base could even be named Fort Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was smiling when talking to Mr. President. I said I would very much like for us to set up a permanent American base in Poland, which we would call Fort Trump, and I firmly believe that this is possible. I am convinced that such a decision lies both in the Polish interests as well as in the interest of the United States.
Andrzej said Poland would put up more than $2 billion for the military installation. U.S. and NATO troops are forbidden from being permanently based in Warsaw Pact countries due to a 1997 agreement between NATO countries and Russia. For more, we turn to our political panel, attorney and former Georgia State Representative Ladawn Jones and Ned Ryun, CEO of American Majority. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Scottie.
Ned, what do you make of President Trump being open to the idea of breaking the NATO-Russia agreement and going permanently into an establishment in Poland?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a negotiating tactic. I don't know if he's really that serious about going and putting a base in. Obviously, he's taken a different approach than the Obama administration by actually approving of missile defense systems going into Poland and the Czech Republic. But I got to tell you, this would be a big move. I'm not really sure the seriousness of it. At the same time, I think Trump's open to anything in regards to how he negotiates and competes with Putin, as he made very clear at the Helsinki summit that he is fully intent on competing with Putin and whatever it takes. So I don't know how serious it is, to be honest, Scottie, but I do think that Trump is willing to examine and look at everything and put everything on the table.
Ladawn, was the Polish president just playing to President Trump's ego by saying that he would name the military installations Fort Trump?
He was absolutely playing towards President Trump's ego, and we've seen this before. We saw this in North Korea, and we're starting to see it with Putin. Anybody that is able to stroke Trump's ego is able to get exactly what they want out of him, and just the tone and the rhetoric in which he said it. We know Trump does anything to go against what Obama did in previous years, and anything that will make it look as though he's draining the swamp. The problem is both he and his voters don't understand the complex foreign relations that went into making these decisions in the first place.
Well, Ned, this morning it was actually Kim Jong-un, reported by the Associated Press, said that the visiting South Korean leader that the summit with Trump stabilized the regional political situation. So does President Trump not get credit for where credit is due?
He should absolutely get credit. The previous three administrations, both Republican and Democrat, just continue to kick the can down the road and refuse to forcefully deal with the situation in North Korea and say, we're not going to tolerate this. We're not going to have this existential threat of a nuclear power with North Korea. Trump's confronting it, and I know some people have problems with how he's approaching the situation, but I think he deserves a lot of credit, Scottie, for saying, I'm not going to kick the can down the road. I'm going to confront this. We're going to deal with this. We're going to figure out how to get to where our interests are actually served, which is a denuclearized North Korea and entire Korean peninsula. So, yeah, I do think he deserves a lot of credit. And I think that, hopefully at the end of the day, people are going to look back and go, thank God Donald Trump was willing to confront this instead of being, quite frankly, cowardly in the approach and how we dealt with North Korea.
Well, Senator Marco Rubio is actually asking the Justice Department to investigate whether the former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry violated the Logan Act by meeting with Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif after he left his post at the State Department. The President and current Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also has been critical of these meetings. Ladawn, is it proper for the former Secretary of State to be involved in the meeting with the Iranian leadership?
Absolutely not. And despite what President Trump may have tweeted, we know that there was no violation of the Logan Act. There was no violation at all by Kerry. But this is a way to pivot political politics. What they're trying to do is take the attention off of them. Unfortunately, what I think Trump is missing is that by accusing Kerry of this act, he's actually highlighting some of the criminal activity that Trump himself has completed, that we've all been waiting for the investigation to complete on. So there was no illegal action. Kerry did absolutely nothing wrong, and there's no actual legal penalty that anybody can point to that he has violated at this point.
Ned, I take it you disagree.
I completely disagree. I got to tell you, Scottie, it's amusing to me the left really hasn't figured out how to gracefully lose elections. There are consequences to losing elections in which your governing philosophy has been rejected. And one of the key issues in 2016 that Donald Trump ran on was rejecting and leaving the Iranian deal. It's one of the most stupid and naive deals that was ever made by the Obama administration. And the fact that John Kerry is no longer in power, he no longer represents our interests, he has no authority, is actually meeting with the Iranians. You know, I mean, first of all, I think it's a stretch on the Logan Act. It's never, I don't think, ever been successfully prosecuted. But I think there's a lot of questions that need to be asked. Why is he meeting with them? What is he discussing? Is he actually encouraging them to wait out the Trump administration? And I think it's, first of all, it's completely unprecedented. I think it's irresponsible. They have to learn they lost an election. They're no longer in charge. Elections have consequences, and we rejected that approach to how we deal with Iran. And Donald Trump's the President of the United States. John Kerry is a former Secretary of State and needs to accept that.
So, Ladawn, what was John Kerry trying to accomplish by going?
Well, let's be clear. He made it clear that he was going just to have a general conversation, that at no time, and he has said this multiple times on the radio and other places, at no time did he talk about avoiding Trump. He wasn't going to tell them how to get around the U.S. He has more knowledge in his right hand than Trump has in his entire body. And so if Kerry believes that it was appropriate to go and talk to them or to have relations, because he had relations with these folks because of his position, there is no violation. And the other guests just said that there was absolutely no violations. They're just bringing this up to muddy the waters.
Well, Ladawn, Ned, thanks for joining us, and we'll see how this all plays out.
Thanks,
Scottie.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.